The day my employer, I realized I was invisible, Daniel's glass was elevated during the quarterly. Getting together and toasting, another year that broke records and was flawless performance in every aspect. His voice transported throughout the elegant conference chamber. A table made of polished wood shining beneath fluorescent light that is harsh. Cheers burst up laughing, but there was no one look came my way. That faultless performance, I was the one. That is fixed by the late-night bug, prevented us from crashing during the demo. The 3 morning, patching the server while my daughter's mute school recital was played in a corner of the screen on my laptop. Nobody noticed the silent fixes. That catastrophes avoided before others even become aware of the issue. The company's branding was on the goods, but the vitality that flows through its veins was mine. I didn't require acknowledgement, not initially, anyhow. I informed myself that I was the silent backbone is good. However, the way invisibility changes is amusing, from security to asphyxia after you. Take note of it. Daniel saw it. Naturally, he prospered. On it. He didn't like to yell or strike the table. He was not required. 2. He would simply relax in his expensive cross his legs, sit in an ergonomic chair, and tilt his head in a dejected manner. Instructor. The dagger then appeared. Why didn't you consider it, Mia? Earlier? A straightforward query. Sufficiently sharp to cut the air before a dozen co-workers. He presented it as an inquiry, but everyone was aware of its nature. A public feedback disguised as sting. Additionally, what do when your salary is dependent on that hurt? You nod, you chuckle along, you put it in the same file as all the others. You act as though slights are unimportant. It stored a lot of items, such as the Daniels joke at a team-building exercise hour. Should Mia ever depart, the system may sway for 5 minutes prior to replacing her with a less expensive person. Everyone chuckled. I also laughed. However, the words were etched in the back of my mind, hidden next to the memory of his smile. That smile turned into the punctuation mark for my professional life. At any time a project was successful, Daniel was in the forefront and prominently featured in the business newsletter in front of a whiteboard, arms folded, containing my handwriting. Then he would give me a shoulder pat and remark, "Your Mia is a true team player." Like I'm supposed to wear the phrases like Amidal, but they actually felt more like hand restraints. He played chess with folks.fragments. One of my co-workers, an experienced developer, unexpectedly discovered her projects transferred to lower-level employees until she had. Her dish was empty. 6 weeks. She resigned later. Daniel took action, startled, as though she had abandoned him. Nowhere, however, everyone was aware. Preventing people from, they were easy to manage because of their equilibrium. And me? I said nothing. I continued to appear, eyes down, notebook open, the trustworthy one, the individual who is protected and secure at 2 a.m., you called, when the system collapsed. However, there is a peculiar strength in being undervalued. Daniel believed he had every card. However, I was merely a cog. What he was unaware of that, while he was occupied moving parts on his little, I was playing a separate game on the chessboard. Whole game, a longer one. In the past, I had no idea when or how the tables would pivot. There was just one thing I knew: the time would come one day. Additionally, when I wouldn't raise my voice, but it did. I wouldn't cause a commotion. I would do what I would always completed, silently get ready, carefully until the last action was inevitable. However, I didn't anticipate it to start as it did. The reason it was a Tuesday was, of course. It seems like bad news always struck most severely on Tuesdays, when it's too late to recuperate from Monday, and eerily in anticipation of Friday. I had just completed unraveling a disastrous memory leak that had been leaking server performance. Over several months, when Daniel's helper showed up at my workstation, she tapped her tablet as if she were reading off a death sentence. Daniel would want you to visit his workplace. HR will be present. The boss plus HR combination isn't a getting. Together, an execution is taking place. Like a glass, his corner office loomed, cage suspended over the open floor, resembling a hunter's blind. Approaching it was like crossing a stage. The keyboard slowed, discussions whispered. Each set of eyeballs blinked. Up, only long enough to sign up. Someone's falling. Daniel was relaxing in the rear as soon as I entered, ankle propped carelessly across his knee. A man practicing casualties. A woman from HR sat next to him with AA folder on her lap. Her warm smile, "You done it after the result has already been determined. Now let's get started." Daniel stated seamless, like a standard deal closure. "While we're revamping, regrettably, consequently, we will have to release you." HR slid the packet of termination across the desk in the manner of a waiter bringing out a bill. "With immediate effect," she added, her finality oozing in the tone. Then Daniel's flourish appeared. His lips formed that all-too-familiar curve. Grin as. He continued, "Assemble your belongings and remember your foolish plant." The words struck more forcefully than the dismissal itself. I'd give that plant a little pause, nursed during office changes and, when the heat scarcely functioned throughout the winter, had made it through everything. It was more vibrant, compared to my career at the time, and Daniel had made a joke out of it. I was escorted by security. My badge was disabled prior to my arrival at the lobby. People gazed silently, the audience's silence at the conclusion of a performance they had spent years observing. To Daniel, this was the last checkmate insult. However, when I entered the cool evening holding onto a cardboard box with my "I wasn't broken" plant swaying inside, I wasn't in a panic over mortgages or resumes, as hidden in the house and Daniel was unaware of a folder that he would never be able to laugh it off, something that would increase his authority. Games appear to be kid-friendly. Additionally, the following morning, he would discover how he was mistaken. 2 years before to Daniel's grinned while speaking across that glass desk. I must remember my foolish plant. I was crouched at my kitchen table it was 1:15 a.m. The flat was dark aside from my bluish light laptop. A takeaway container that was empty sat put aside. Noodles that were cold and stuck to my daughter's school and the lid. There were sketches all over my elbow. In the adjacent room, she was dozing off, her breathing steadily and gently. In the meanwhile, I was alert and pursuing a notion that refused to let me sleep. It wasn't even a component of my work description. Not formally. I hadn't been invited to work on it. However, occasionally when an issue persists, if you stare at it long enough, it will stop feeling